name is Katie Derman, and I am the very, very proud principal here at Mountain View. We are officially going to begin our program this afternoon at 1 o'clock because that's when our live stream begins on YouTube so that people literally across the world can tune in and see our amazing experience this afternoon. I do have some words of welcome for you, but before I do that, I'm going to turn the program over to our STEM instructional specialist, Dr. Cassie Zielinski, and she's going to recognize some of our student leaders. Hopefully those of you that are very important, honorable guests today were escorted down our main hallway and shown a little bit of a glimpse of Mountain View today by some of our student leaders in our school, and I think that's something that makes Mountain View so special is the opportunities our kids have to interact with you and the community and have those leadership opportunities. So Dr. Zielinski, if you wouldn't mind recognizing some of those leaders before we get started.
Good afternoon. We do that every day. All right, so the couple of people I want to go ahead and introduce right now is, can the 5th grade STEM ambassadors and Miss Allie Breeze go ahead and stand up, please? Okay, they were our student leaders from 5th grade who led you in through check-in. Okay, and they have worked several events this year, and they do a lot of things around the school. They help lots of grade levels, do all kinds of STEMmy things, which I couldn't be more happier. So if you could please give them a round of applause. I'd also like to introduce the 4th grade STEM squad. Go ahead and stand up, please. And what they are responsible for, they helped with Launchapalooza, they helped with different things through the school. This was their first time. We just started it in January. And so they have been very, very instrumental in helping me with things like this. I also would like Marianne Farah to go ahead and stand up, and Debbie Taylor. So they helped me sponsoring. So Marianne did all of the practicing with the students. Debbie Taylor is the one who designed the newsletter and all the programs that you have with us. It was just, we are a very good team here at Mountain View. A very good team. And then the last group that I would like to stand up, please, before we go live stream, is going to be Media Blitz and Miss Kate Druitz. Okay, thank you, friends. So just a little glimpse of what Media Blitz is. That is a club that we have here that does nothing but audio and visual and camera work. And they have created the documentary that you will see in just a little bit on Mountain View's journey to this year. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming. And I believe it should be around 1 o'clock. All right, let's go ahead and do the parade of students. All right, here we go. Go ahead, next slide. It's okay. They can cheer. It's okay, guys. Okay, stop right there. All right, these were the lucky students that out of 838 questions that were selected, these 20 made the final cut. And so they will be the ones joining us up on stage. Come on up, friends.
Again, I am absolutely thrilled to welcome each and every one of you to a truly historic moment in our school. Today marks the first ever direct contact with the International Space Station through the Amateur Radio on the International Space Station, or ARISS program. And we couldn't be more excited to have all of you here to share in this extraordinary experience and first-time experience in the Cobb County School District. It's not often that you can say that this is a first in Cobb County. Before we delve into the wonders of space, I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to the backbone of our Mountain View school community, which is our dedicated staff. Under the exemplary leadership of our assistant principals, Sherry Green and Kevin Johnson, and our STEM key team leaders, Dr. Cassie Zielinski and Miss Mary Ann Farah, our entire staff has worked tirelessly throughout the year to ensure that our students receive the best education possible. Please join me in giving our staff a round of applause for their unwavering passion. I also want to extend a heartfelt thank you to some special guests joining us today. We have Cobb Commissioner Joanne Burrell. We have the Cobb County School District Events Team, the Cobb County School District Communications Team, and our district leadership here today. And their invaluable support has made today's event possible. It truly takes a village to do something of this magnitude, and we are incredibly fortunate to have such a strong network of collaboration in our district. Now on to the main event, our direct contact with the International Space Station. This is an unparalleled opportunity for you, our students at Mountain View, to engage with the wonders of outer space and interact directly through our friends up here with astronaut Jeanette Epps, who is currently aboard the International Space Station. I know you are going to feel the same excitement and inspiration that I do as we speak to someone who is literally living and working in space today. This moment really, though, is more than just our conversation this afternoon. It's about igniting a passion for exploration, discovery, and STEM. Through programs like ARISS, we are opening doors to endless possibilities for you and empowering you to dream big, reach for the stars, and one day maybe pursue a career that will shape the future of space. Before we move forward with our afternoon, I must take a moment to express our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed community partners who have been instrumental in shaping today's event. On stage with me and in our audience here are members of the Cherokee Amateur Radio Society, the North Fulton Amateur Radio League, Blue Shift Aerospace, the Civil Air Patrol, Max IQ, Cobb EMC, the Cobb County Public Library, Ream Manufacturing Company, and representatives from ARISS International. Your unwavering collaboration, expertise, and generosity have been invaluable to us. Together, we have not only made today's contact with the ISS possible, but fostered a spirit of innovation and exploration within our community. Your dedication to education and your commitment to empowering the next generation of leaders is inspiring, and we're deeply grateful for your partnership. Thank you for all that you've done for us. So, as we look ahead this afternoon, let's remember the sky is not the limit, it's just the beginning. You, our Mountain View students, have the potential to achieve incredible things. And events like today's contact with the International Space Station are just a glimpse of the bright future that awaits each one of you. Let's soak in every moment of this historic occasion, and let's continue to nurture the curiosity, creativity, and resilience of our students as you embark on your own journey of discovery. Thank you all, and a special thank you to Dr. Zielinski, our amazing STEM teacher, for this unforgettable experience today. And here's to many more adventures amongst the stars. I'll turn it over to you, Dr. Z.
Okay, so today is a day. It's been 331 days in the making. For those that are in third grade and older, it's been 3.5 years in the making. We started this journey when COVID hit, and we all could not work together, and we did what was called Paper Town. And the students had to make their own space settlement out of paper, because that was what we could do. After that, we've put a satellite in space. We've had a satellite on a rocket that launched in South Africa. And now we have this. They have worked so hard, more than you can imagine. I'm sure more than times than once I've heard they're too young. They can't handle this. I guarantee you they handled it. Please give a round of applause to the students of Mountain View. Now, just a little bit of a rundown on so our guests know how this worked. We had a question contest in December, and they were allowed to write a single question on a piece of paper. I surprised them with the date they did not know, and so it was very authentic. There are some of you in the crowd, and you know who you are, that wrote 5 questions down, and then they had to pick which one they thought was the best. We then went through 4 rounds of testing, quizzing, polling, teachers, and then finally it got down to the final 4 of every grade level, and then each grade level got to vote on the students' questions. And so after all of that voting, we end up with these top 20 students. Now, the 18 are from Mountain View. 2 of them are from Simpson and Hightower Trail Middle School, and that is because they were with us at the beginning of the journey, and I only felt it would be appropriate for them to be here for the end. So, without further ado, let's start ARISS Day.
In the spring of 2024, Mountain View had the opportunity for direct contact with the International Space Station. Here's how we prepared.
So you can learn about what astronauts do in space. ARISS is the ISS, the International Space Station. ARISS is pretty much the International Space Station. You get to talk to a radio, someone on it. That's just awesome. ARISS is basically like the Amateur Radio International Space Station. So it's a radio that is communicated through the International Space Station, and it's important because people can learn about what it is and what it does to impact our world.
I didn't know a lot about ARISS when Cassandra or Dr. Z first contacted me, but I knew that it was there. I knew that there was an amateur radio station on the International Space Station.
I know that bringing ARISS into a school is not easy. It takes a lot of hard work on the part of a lot of people.
I've never experienced something like this for all my years of Mountain View. With Dr. Z's help, it's gonna go good.
The mission began in Dr. Z's STEM lab.
Hello, anyone here? Over.
We had visiting experts like the Mountain View Public Library, the Cherokee Amateur Radio Society, and an ARISS ambassador. Some of the experts even brought an actual satellite.
We were invited to come to your school by Dr. Z, and one of the things that we were trying to do with the school today is to help you all understand what satellites are all about. And we brought with us an actual working satellite so that we could demonstrate it to the different classes and people ask the questions that they want to ask about it, and hopefully explain everything that we can about the satellite.
Who would have thought that we could bring a satellite into the building?
We learned about Morse code.
So what do you all know about Morse code?
If you can't hear a voice on the radio, you'll still hear this. This can go all the way around the world pretty easily. I got a key, a Morse code key. All you do is tap it. All this does is close a contact between an electrical circuit.
We had an ARISS representative give us a taste of the Aquanaut experience.
I'm one of the ARISS ambassadors, so I love ARISS and have supported multiple schools in actually contacting an astronaut aboard the International Space Station. One of the things I like to do is I like to help prepare schools in order to support their ARISS Day. So I will work with students to learn more about space, radio, and communication, and kind of answer some of the questions that you guys might need to know to get started.
Water, they're using their heavy suits. So this is a picture of the ISS mock-up, and this is a picture of the Orion orbiter. So astronauts, when they come back, they'll crash into the ocean, and they need to be able to exit and enter using very heavy suits, so they'll practice that. And astronauts, they train underwater so that they can learn to live in the conditions that they're going to be in space.
Students participated in endurance activities, designed their own underwater habitat, and raced to break down and replace equipment setup. The whole school joined in a weekly competition to see who had learned the most about ARISS.
What piece of equipment? What piece of equipment do we use to talk to an astronaut? Radio. I need. Radio wave. Antenna.
A human who lives and works in space is called an
Astronaut.
Who's ready?
Oh.
Who has their stuff? Okay, what do we call the 4 to 6 digit value that names a person on the radio?
What is the movement of electrons that move throughout the atmosphere, allowing us to transmit and receive data?
Every student created and then voted on their favorite mission patch for our ARISS contact.
These are all mission patches from the ISS. The first one is the Expedition 70 people who are up there now, and they will be talking to you in the springtime. During this 2 minutes, I want you to spend 1 minute sharing ideas. Captain, please make sure everyone on your team gets to give an opinion, and then come to a decision. The person with the pencil will draw nice and big.
At last came our annual Launchapalooza, where we finally launched our own water-powered rockets.
Launching in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1,
And now there's only one thing left to figure out. What question do you ask an astronaut?
The question I would ask an astronaut is, how much work did it take you to get to the position you're in now?
How do they brush their teeth in space?
If I could ask the astronauts a question, I would ask them how they feel when they get back down from space.
How they launch the rocket without gravity pulling it back down onto the Earth. If you hurt yourself, how would you, help yourself? If you broke an arm, how would you help yourself?
That's a really good point. I don't know what they do. Maybe they all know first aid? Is there a doctor?
Ham. Fourth grade STEM squad, Olivia Martinez.
Radios and Wireless Technology by Olivia Martinez and Zach Oldham.
What is a radio? A radio is a machine that uses radio waves to communicate. They send out radio waves, then bounce the radio waves, and it comes back. We use a special radio called the IC 7300, which is seen on the picture.
What is wireless technology? Wireless technology is technology that does not require wires and uses radio waves. AirPods are an example of wireless technology. Here's some more: satellites, phones, and radios.
What is a satellite? A satellite is a robot that goes to space. An example of a giant satellite is the ISS. We can send information to the satellite, like text messages, and then it sends it to the person you're trying to get to. The Starring satellites are an example of the satellites that help with texting.
What is a CubeSat? A CubeSat is a cube-shaped satellite. This satellite is technically a mini satellite. It can live in space for up to 3 years. This satellite can film and sense things like noise or the altitude.
Is this all used on the ISS? This is all used on the ISS. Radios are used to communicate. Wireless technology is used because you cannot have a huge wire coming from Earth. STEM is also used on the ISS in everything they do up there. Noise-canceling headphones are used on the ISS because it helps with communication. CubeSats are used on the ISS because they can take videos and help schools conduct experiments.
We used all of this technology in STEM. We used engineering to create rockets and space technology every year. We used mathematics by calculating landings and launches and making sure all the technology works properly. We used our radios to listen to the weather from anywhere around the world. We used our handheld walkies to track the ISS and download slow scan TV images. We used snap circuits to learn about electricity.
Thanks for learning with us.
Presenters, 4th grade STEM squad, Matthew Gordon.
4th grade STEM squad, Mahita Narendran.
ARISS Astronauts Bio by Matthew Gordon and Mahita Narendran.
Meet Mission Specialist Jeanette Epps.
What state and country was she born in? Mission Specialist Jeanette Epps was born November 3, 1970 in Mississippi, USA.
Her call sign is KF5QNU. What is the call sign, you ask? It's the name they use on a radio.
Let's learn a little more about astronaut Epps.
She was born in Syracuse, New York, one of 7 children, and moved to Syracuse of the Great Migration.
She had a twin sister and excelled in math and science. Bachelor's degree in physics, master's degree and PhD in aerospace engineering.
Her research is focused in materials engineering, basically materials that have Memory.
She worked for Ford Motor Company and the CIA. She has been deployed to Iraq. June 2009, Epps was selected as an astronaut candidate for the 20th class of NASA astronauts. She became an astronaut in June 2011.
Mountain View cannot wait to talk with you.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay, hold on. Okay, come here. All right, so here's what's going to happen next.
Hi, my name is Ruth.
And my name is Chris.
You must be pretty excited to talk directly with astronauts on the International Space Station today. While we're waiting for the space station to come over your portion of the sky, let's talk a little bit about how it's going to happen. Of course, Mission Control is in contact with astronauts all the time, using a big radio with lots of fancy equipment.
However, we're going to be using something very different today. We are going to use ham or amateur radio to talk directly to the International Space Station.
When most people hear the word radio, they think of a music radio station, but it's so much more than that. Radio actually refers to the unseen energy that transmits all sorts of signals using electromagnetic waves. At first, people learned how to send signals like Morse code, and then they discovered that you can send so much more, like data, computer signals, and even TV.
Maybe you don't realize it, but you use radio every day. Maybe you watched the TV this morning, or you texted your friends, or maybe even you checked social media like Twitter or Instagram.
Let's travel back to space for a minute. Since the beginning of the space age, humans have sent many spacecraft out into the universe. These range from the Hubble Space Telescope orbiting the Earth daily, and the Curiosity rover exploring Mars. We've even sent a long-distance messenger, the Voyager 1, who has traveled outside of our solar system.
Whether it's capturing a great picture of a far-off galaxy or conducting experiments on the space station, radio has to do with all of these. And today, you're going to be using ham radio. Now you might be wondering, what exactly is ham radio?
Amateur or ham radio is a service and a hobby where operators can talk with people around their neighborhoods, their cities, their country, and even around the world. Amateur radio operators require a radio license from the government. They're not that hard to get. I have one. My call sign is KM4LAO.
And mine is KD8YVJ. Our call signs are a way of identifying who we are to other operators. This lets everyone know that we have the proper license to using the radios.
As amateur radio operators, or hams as we are often called, we can talk with others about basically whatever we want, often science or some new radio gadget that we are interested in.
Let's focus back to the space station and your contact today. Many of the astronauts and cosmonauts aboard the space station are licensed ham radio operators. That's why your operators today can contact them. The people here, as well as the astronauts, are licensed to talk to each other, and you are allowed to talk over to their radio.
For our conversation today, we'll need an amateur radio station on the ground, either in this location or somewhere else around the world. We'll also need a radio in the space station.
NA1SS, NA1SS.
You can hear the calls coming. This is November Alpha 1 Sierra Sierra, the International Space Station, over.
On the space station, the radio transceiver is connected to an amateur radio antenna mounted on the outside. One of these antennas will be used today during our contact.
For our side of the contact, we need a good-sized antenna, a signal amplifier, something to make our signal stronger, and a rotator for turning our antenna. We have to keep our antenna pointed right at the International Space Station. And remember, it's moving across the sky and fast.
To aim the antenna properly, we need to track the path of the space station exactly. NASA uses complex systems to track the path of the space station and other orbiting objects.
The satellite tracking program we are using works out a complicated set of mathematics to provide the orbital location of the space station moment by moment as it moves through space. This information is sent into the computer that controls the antenna rotator, which moves the antenna to follow the space station. Maybe some of you have seen or worked with robotics. That's pretty cool stuff. And just like you can program a robot where to go, what to do, and how to get there, you can also program a computer to tell an antenna how to track the space station across the sky.
You know, it took a lot of planning to get this contact. Several weeks ago, the ARISS operations team had to figure out when the space station's orbit would pass over this location. Then, they had to talk with the planners at NASA's Johnson Space Center. The crew's time is pretty full, so they were able to find a time that could work for the crew members' schedules. Once they found times that would work both in space and here on the ground, the host organized this contact. And in just a few minutes, you'll be hearing and talking to the astronauts.
Well, it's almost time for your contact. It will be exciting, so good luck with it.
What I love about space exploration is finding out new things, learning new things we never thought we would learn in my lifetime. My name is Jeanette Epps. I am a mission specialist for the NASA SpaceX Crew 8 mission to the International Space Station. I am from Syracuse, New York, where it's very cold. I am one of 7 children. My twin sister, Janet, yes, Janet and Jeanette, we both loved science as kids. Janet went on to become a molecular cell biologist, and I became an aerospace engineer. I think I always secretly wanted to become an astronaut. I just never thought that it was something that was obtainable. In 2008, a friend of mine, Leland Melvin, called me and said that they were accepting applications for the next class. I thought it was my last chance to apply, and so I did. June 2009, I received a phone call from Peggy Whitson, and she asked if I wanted to join the astronaut corps. It was very overwhelming and emotional for me to actually get that call and be selected. Prior to coming to NASA, I worked for Ford Motor Company, and then I went on to work for the Central Intelligence Agency. At both of those places, I learned to be very deep in technical matters, but then also how to become operational. Our mission will entail getting on the vehicle, flying to the space station, taking care of the International Space Station, and then we'll also conduct experiments. Each individual will be an experiment in and of themselves, how our cells behave, how our blood changes, how our bone density changes, muscle mass. We're looking at everything to figure out countermeasures for the human body so that it can live longer and longer outside the Earth's protection. Not only will we be an experiment, but we'll have other experiments on board that we'll conduct. The experiments that we conduct hopefully will get the human body and other things to the moon, and then from the moon to Mars. I will be the GEM specialist, which is the Japanese experiment module. I may get a chance to operate their robotic arm to help them with experiments that they'll do outside of the space station. Since this will be my first trip to the International Space Station, I'm looking forward to viewing the Earth from an amazing vantage point, but also experiencing all the nuances that go along with that. As we walk to the launch pad, as we're strapped into the vehicle, the things that I believe I'll be feeling: unbelief, surrealism, but also joy. And then once we go into orbit, just to see the Earth from that vantage point, and then thinking of ways that we're going to work on the space station that's going to help our home that we're now untethered to. When I get to the space station, I'm expecting that it will be like home. We've trained so much here on Earth in the mock-up that looks just like the International Space Station. The biggest thing I'll have to do is adapt to space during the first 2 weeks of being there, and then I'll settle into home.
Okay. Okay, Okay, I just want to let everybody know what's happening is the ISS is right above Washington State, okay, and near Alaska. So what's going to happen is in a few minutes we are going to switch screens so that you can see the ISS start coming down. The ISS will be in, it's a little white dot, and there's like an egg around it, a circle. When that circle starts to come near us, our signal becomes better, and then we will go ahead and start the process of me calling the space station. Okay, so the next screen that you'll see, we're playing a little bit of music because we're just waiting for it to come down. In about a minute or two, you'll see ISS above come up, okay, and that is our tracker to see how close we are. Alrighty, so I just wanted to let everybody know what was happening. Okay, we're just waiting for the space station to start coming down towards us. Okay, just let everybody know we're about a minute and a half out. Okay, a minute and a half out. You let me know when I'm going. Okay, it's almost that time. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start calling the International Space Station really soon. You will see me go on to the mic, and I'll be reading what I have to read. We need to stay really, really quiet so Jeanette can hear us. Okay, you're going to hear some static. Live stream is seeing where the ISS is, and we are getting ready to get started here soon. Kilo Quebec 4 Juliet Victor India, calling November Alpha 1 Sierra Sierra for a scheduled school contact, over. KQ4 JVI, calling NA1SS for a scheduled school contact, over. KQ4 JVI, calling NA1SS for a scheduled school contact, over.
NA1ISS has you downstairs, over.
Welcome to Mountain View Elementary, Astronaut EPS, over.
Thank you, it's nice to be here, over.
Astronaut EPS, are you ready for the event, over.
I'm ready for the event, over.
Kindergarten. Since things float, is there physical friction in space? Over.
Yes, there is friction in space. I like that question. The reason there's still friction is that we still have an atmosphere. We're in a pressurized vessel. We have oxygen and nitrogen. So we can still have friction in space. That's a great question. Over.
I was in first and with candle. Over. What is the worst emergency to have on the ISS? Over.
That's a great question, Aiden. The answer is an ammonia response, because if we have ammonia to get to the ISS, we would have to abandon the ISS. We use anhydrous ammonia to cool all of the electronics that we have on board the ISS. So if we had one of our in-space heat exchangers that help cool some of our equipment, if we had it crack and then it allowed ammonia into the station, that would be a pretty bad day. Over.
I'm at listen second. Does zero gravity affect the way that your body processes food? Over.
That's a great question. It can, because what ends up happening is everything kind of floats up. So even within your body, the fluids in your body shift up, and it can impact the way you digest food. But I have not noticed that it's impacted me long term. We eat pretty well on orbit, and so we don't seem to have major issues with processing the food, even though we have a fluid shift in our body. Microgravity, zero gravity impacts all of our systems in our body, but not to the effect of the degrading or interrupting the way our body processes a lot of things? Great question. Over.
If you broke a bone in space, would you feel the same as you were on Earth? Over.
Wow, I'm impressed with these questions. We don't know exactly the effect of microgravity on the healing process. We're still working on a lot of research on the human body. We take blood, we take other samples, saliva samples, and we look at those and we're trying to figure out how our body processes, how our body changes with microgravity, how it processes the foods that we eat, the nutrients. So we're still figuring out how, what fast our body can heal. We don't know just yet, so that's a great question. Over.
I'm Kathy and 4. Do you feel anxious thinking about returning to your home since time creates change? Over.
That is a great psychological question. I'm also nervous about it. I'm going to be excited when I return home because I'll have a lot of great stories to tell and describe how things really work in space. So I'm not nervous. I'm excited. It'll be fantastic to get back home. But I am going to enjoy the moment here because you don't know when you get back. So, great question. Over.
I'm Dylan in 5th. What is the most high-tech item on the ISS not well known by others? Over.
Well, there's many things on orbit, even down to the way our waste hygiene compartment works. It's a very nice engineering job that was done by our Russian colleagues. But we also have great experiments like the Cold Atom Lab. We have different types of fabrication facilities that we're using to, maybe one day create something biological in our fabrication facility. So we have many different types of new technology we're trying out and that we use every day. Over.
I am Grayson in 4th. What's the biggest problem about the ISS? Over.
Well, Grayson, I would say that ISS is still a large experimental laboratory that's floating space. We can do all kinds of amazing things. We even take care of the station. We usually have people go out and spacewalk and improve our solar array to produce more power more efficiently. So I would say that we have a problem. I think engineers create solutions. And there's a lot of solutions that we come up with on the ISS. So I like to think of things that we don't really have a problem. We have a question that needs a solution, and the ISS can help find them. And, if there's an issue on the ISS, you can figure out solutions to that too. So I like to think about it in a different way. Great question. Over.
I am Parker on that on the ISS does the crew have book access or are there areas on it off limits? Over.
Great question. We do have some locations that are called stop zones, but that's for our safety. Really, there's nowhere we can't truly go, but some places are off limits for our safety or even for the safety of the equipment sometimes. So like we have one rack that has an ongoing experiment right now, so it's off limits to even touch the handrails that's on it because we don't want to ruin the experiment. So pretty much all areas of the space station are accessible, but they may become off limits for various reasons. Over.
I'm Jordan in 3rd. Have you ever had to borrow parts from one item to fix a different item on the ISS? Over.
Yes, we've had to, our folks and scientists and engineers on the ground have helped them MacGyver, I may not know that word, but put together several components to find a solution to some problems. We had to develop a way to clean a tool that was brought in from a spacewalk, and it had to be cleaned, so they had to develop a new tool to help clean one of these. It's a main bus shunt unit is what it was called. It was for our electrical power system. So we have many different things that we had to kind of assemble a tool to help fix another tool, another piece of equipment that we use on the station. And we haven't had to do that on this station.
ISS permanently, what would your reaction be and would you accept? Over.
Wow, that's a great question. I would not want to live here permanently because I have a lot of family that is waiting for me. They were very happy to see me get an opportunity to come to the space station and to see the hands and eyes for researchers on the ground and experience their peace. But they wouldn't want me to stay here forever. They would, maybe they'll miss me, but I miss them. So I'd stay a long time, but I probably wouldn't want to stay forever. So, thanks for the question. Over.
I'm Anjali and I'm in 6th grade. From reading the human space, are there any natural patterns that show how greenhouse gases might be impacting our planet? Over.
Wow, that's another great question. So we take a lot of photos and we have some sensors on board and different satellites that can take pictures of the Earth and it can show some of the effects of the greenhouse gases. That we have a current experiment right now that we're working, the crew on board that we're working with, we take images of the Earth every day and those images can give us some idea of what's going on here. Okay.
All right, astronaut, thank you so much for coming out to elementary. Everybody here, thank you very much. On 3, 2, 1.
That can play while I say thank you. Okay, if I could have all of your attention real quickly. Boys and girls, you have done an exceptional job. I know this was a long program this afternoon and you have done so well representing our school. That was an amazing experience. I do need everybody to be sitting silently, and teachers, you can feel free to stand up and stand kind of near your class. We are not quite ready for dismissal, but that will help us just end our program well this afternoon. Thank you so much, Dr. Z, and all of our amateur radio friends on stage for that incredible experience. When we first connected with Astronaut Epps, that moment was just amazing. Thank you to our visitors for being here today, and I also want to say an extra special thank you to our PTA and foundation. We do have those presidents here this afternoon, and our community has done an exceptional job of supporting all of our programs, including our STEM program. So thank you very, very much for that ongoing support. We appreciate it so much. This does continue to be a real live school day here at Mountain View, and it is time for our afternoon dismissal, and we are well prepared for that process. We know that our guests are going to probably stay and interact with our radio staff, and you're more than welcome to come up and talk and see things, but we do need to go ahead and begin our dismissal process, which we have practiced. Our back row can stand up, and we do need to move as quickly as possible so our buses can get out on time.